Welcome back to FM Storey as we're about to embark on season 3 of our series where we try to end the dominance of Celtic and Rangers in Scottish football. Coming hot off the heels of season 2 where we finished second and just 2 points behind Rangers. We've also got our first season coming up in European football. So without further ado, let's get into the action. We've made it to the opening day of the league season. Just have a look and see what we've done in the transfer window. But we have already played a couple of competitive games. We've played we've already played a couple of competitive games. We've played in the second qualifying round of the Europa League. We were drawn against Linfield from Northern Ireland. First leg we did a reasonably professional performance, took the lead in the second half, but then conceded a goal. It was a screamer from 25 yards for them, just as we were going into injury time. But then in the home leg, we were much better. Came away with a 4-0 victory. We have suffered some injury problems from those games, so we are running a bit light on numbers going into the start of the season. But as you can see, we've been drawn against Roma in the third qualifying round, which is a bit of a problem, especially as the board have decided that the minimum aim for the season is to reach the league phase. So I'm hoping that they understand that being drawn against Roma isn't exactly a sign that that's likely to happen. Transfer-wise, not much has happened. In terms of the outs, there was a couple of players that ended contracts. They would go in. We've sent a young player out on loan, Alex Pinto, who we signed last summer on a free. His contract was up at the end of the season and was concerned about his work permit not getting renewed, because we did try to renew the contract and we ran into the problem that he wasn't going to get a work permit. So we've sold him to Guangdong for 375,000, going up to 450,000. And then incomings, we've not made much. We've made 3 signings. We've signed Andrea Maximovic. We've signed Andrea Maximovic. We've signed Andrea Maximovic on loan. Young, promising player. Unfortunately, he picked up an injury before we even got to the first qualifying round game and damaged his spine, and he's going to be out for 3 to 4 months. And we can't end the loan spell either. We then picked up Torben Ryan on a free transfer after being released by Bayern Munich. It's another one like some of the other deals we did last season, where relatively cheap deal, obviously in this case a free deal. We've got a minimum fee release clause in, which gives them the security that they know that we're not going to hold them if we get an offer, but also it means we get big money. A bit like the Lennon Miller contract from last season, where it enabled us to reshape our squad in the second half of the season. And then with Alex Pinto going, we needed another right back because Stephen O'Donnell's on his last legs. So we picked up Nathan Ferguson, who can play right back at push, can play centre half, and can play left back as well. So that's what we've done in the transfer window. And then as far as everything concerned, we obviously didn't play in the league, in the group stage of the League Cup. We've been drawn away at Ayr in the second round. And then as far as the league's concerned, the expectation from the board is that we qualify for the Conference League again. So basically, the cup expectations are exactly the same. Last season we were expected to finish in the top half. Now they want us to qualify for the Conference League. And then the Conference League is that they want us to reach the league stage, which obviously being drawn against Roma is going to put a serious dent in those hopes, I think. As far as the preview is concerned, we're expected to finish third. there's more of a spread of players between Rangers and Celtic in the team media dream 11. But that's where we're at. What we'll do now is get a couple of games underway and we'll come back probably for the home game against Roma and then see where we're at from there. So we've made it to the second leg of the game against Roma. We've played a couple of games in the league. Things have gone well in the league, and rather bizarrely, we are not yet out of the Europa League. The first leg we put in a really good performance. So we started off the league campaign at home to Livingston and came away with it. We basically blew them out off the park in the first half. We were 3-0 up at half time. They got a goal in the second half, but it was little more than a consolation goal. And we came away with 3 points. The most recent game, the last league game, was away at St Johnstone on a Monday night. And that was a bit more of a struggle. We came away with a goal just before half time to secure the 3 points, but they did have a goal disallowed for offside deep into injury time. And then the first leg of the game against Roma, when Tammy Abraham scored after 44 seconds, and then they were 3-0 up after 23 minutes, I did think that we were just going to be obliterated. But somehow we got 2 goals in 2 minutes to end the first half. The second half was back and forth, and we've come away having only lost the first leg 3-2. So there is still some hope that going into this second leg, we may well be able to knock Roma out. And if we do get through, the draw for the next round is actually kinder than the draw for this round. But obviously, it's going to be a big ask to beat Roma at home. So this is the side we've picked for the big home game, going against Roma and obviously against Mourinho. I mean, look at their team. That they should be hammering us, but somehow we've stayed in it in the first leg. We've got Ferguson in at right back, and then basically the rest of the back four is the same as what started most of last season. Torben Ryan's in one of the two Mazzella roles with Slattery. Ejuke we moved to the right to bring Bermudez in from the left, because we do have injury issues. Blespittel's injured. Maximovic, obviously, who we said at the start of the season, is out for 3 or 4 months. And Obando, who we signed towards the end of last season, the young Doran, is injured as well. So that's why we're struggling to fill the bench out as well. But hopefully we can go on there, our performance, and you never know, we might even be able to nick it. So we're going in with a 4-3-3. They're going with 5 at the back, 5-3-2 basically. And hopefully it's just one of those days where we can pick up a result. Right, Ferguson with long throw. Bermudez back to Ferguson. Or right, Slattery in the box. Pulls it across. What a start. And that's levelled it up on aggregate. So all went out to Gazer, who played it into Slattery, who makes a dart towards the byline, pulls it back, and there's Bermudez to fire past the near post. Kept himself onside, and somehow we've levelled the tie up. Right, corner for them. Pull back to the edge of the box. Well, it was nice while we had hope. Yeah, pull back to the edge of the area. Plenty of time to get the shot off. Just in off the post. Right, throw for them deep in our half. Into Tammy Abraham. Far too much time and space. 50 spot. And we're going to need something special in the second half if we're going to make it out of this tie. Just no one tracked his movement there, going in off the side there. And then just put it between the defender and the keeper. Right, Ryan with the free kick. They've headed clear and now they're going to Tammy Abraham counter-attacking. He is on his own at the moment. There's players trying to get up with him. Where's it? And I think that's game over now. We just got caught from our free kick, then breaking, gets to the byline, pulls it across, and a simple finish for Belotti. And the game just seems to be petering out, but we've got free kick Ryan to take it. We've got a goal back. We need another 2 to take it to extra time. I think it may just be a little bit too late. Either that or as we push forward to try and get back into this, they're going to pick us off again on the counter-attack. They're playing out from the back here. Won it back via Farah. Coming forward with it. Into Ryan. Ross into the box. Can he square it? It's 3-3. With 3.5 minutes plus injury time left. Via Farah. Into Ryan. Round the corner. Ross as well. Gets across. Swings. Low cross in. Bruce Anderson at the near post. Could we? I don't think I can fault the team for that. I mean, if you told us going into the first leg we would lose 6-5 on aggregate, yeah, I mean they've given everything especially in the second leg. Took the early lead and then fought back towards the end. Just couldn't get that fourth goal to take it to extra time. No doubt the board and the players will be unhappy that we haven't met our expectation, but I mean, we've been drawn against Roma. What was anyone expecting? We've made it towards the end of September and we've got a League Cup quarter-final coming up home against Inverness. Since the second leg against Roma, things have not gone particularly well. We'll come to the fixtures in a minute. We've had plenty of action on and around deadline day in the transfer market. We sold Juan Berrocal on deadline day. He was the one that was most adamant that we'd screwed up by losing to Roma in the Europa League, in the Conference League qualifying. He was distraught that we hadn't managed to get our aim of finishing the league as the board were, but from that point on he was trying to force a move, and in the end we've got 6.5 million rising to 8 million for him from Osasuna. And we saw a lot of players come in on deadline day, most of them on loan. We brought in Stevanovic from Man City to add a bit of depth wide. We brought back Yarol Kwanzaa, who we had on loan in the second half of last season. We've also brought back Isaac Babadi, who we had on loan and excelled in the second half of last season. And we've also brought in on loan Alan Maturo, who can play centre half or left back from Genoa. Now, as with what happened with Maksimovic when he came in and damaged his spine, Maturo came in and before we could even get to a game, fractured his lower leg. So he was out for 2 months. We also spent a bit of the money that we got for Berrocal and spent it on James Hill on a permanent deal from Bournemouth. So we've brought in a few replacements to replace Berrocal. We needed some more depth at centre half as well anyway. We are currently waiting to see whether a work permit's going to be given to Lucien Agume, who was available on a free transfer after being released by Inter Milan. And then as far as the games are concerned, so the first game after the Roma game was the second round of the League Cup against Ayr. And we got off to a decent start. We were 1-0 up early on. They had a player sent off midway through this first half. But from that point on, they were largely the better team. They equalised just before half time. They had the best chances in the second half until we got a penalty right on 90 minutes, which Callum Slattery scored. And then as they were pushing to get back into the game, we picked them off and got a 94th minute goal. It certainly wasn't the most convincing of 3-1 victories. We then went away to Hibs in the league and didn't get off to a great start, but got ourselves back on level terms and then capitulated in the second half. We were then at home to Kilmarnock and got off to the worst start imaginable. They scored in under a minute. And we just were next to useless, except we got a late equaliser. The first game following the closing of the transfer window and the international break saw us go to Celtic. We got off to a great start. Didn't play particularly well, but we were leading. They scored halfway through the first half and fairly early in the second half. We then had a couple of goals disallowed in the second half for offside. It was a more promising performance than any since the Roma game. And then Hearts game, the most recent league game, we battered them in the first half. We were 3-0 up by half time. And then in the second half, I don't know whether it's because players were starting to get tired because of the number of games we played in August, or whether it was just they suddenly got second wind. But once Liam Kelly basically threw in an own goal, it was all Hearts, and actually we were kind of lucky in the end to hang on for the 3-3 draw. What that all means as far as the league's concerned is we're currently sat in 6th position after 6 games. We've got 8 points. We've won 2, drawn 2, lost 2, and we need to be so much better than what we've shown so far this season, and hopefully we can start with this quarter final against Inverness. So this is the team we've gone with for this quarter final. We've got Ferguson and Vasquez at the fullback still. Quansah and Hill going to play in the centre of defence. Ryan's back from injury to partner Slattery in midfield. We've gone with Buddy wide right, Aduke wide left, and go through the middle. And hopefully, if that first team doesn't do it, then we've got enough on the bench to pull us through. We're going with the 4-3-3. They're also going with the 4-3-3. But they have obviously been relegated, so they are in the championships. Hopefully we've got enough quality to see them off. Corner for them. He's to swing it in with his left foot. Got a head on it. It's come back straight back to him. They're in the box now. How is it that whenever the opposition take a shot from there, it seems to fly into the top corner, and whenever we take a shot, it doesn't seem to hit the target? It's just, I don't think there's anything you can do about that one. Right, corner from the right, Ryan to take, outswinger, it rises highest, heads past the keeper, and we've got back on level terms pretty quickly. And now we just need to take advantage of the possession we're having. Lovely outswinger, rises highest, heads past the keeper, and that's 1-1. Now half, we've won it back, but Velasquez then into Gazer, Quansah, Ferguson, Babadi, Ryan, comes back to Babadi, into Ferguson, drift inside, Gazer onto Velasquez, pushing the edge of the box, pulls it back to Gazer on the edge of the box, and he hits the woodwork, and then Babadi goes down and nothing's given. That's what I mean about shots from outside the box. I always hit the woodwork, there's go in the top corner. Right, Quansah picks it up, Gazer to Slattery, Chidera, back to Hill. Into Ryan. Ryan again. Back to Pansar. We're moving them about without creating a space for that final pass. Pansar and Hill have had a lot of the ball by the into now Babadi into the box, pulls it across. Slattery scores again, already his 7th goal of the season, and that puts us in front. And I mean, looking at the match, that's we deserve to be in front, but again, it's the old feeling of had 12 shots, but only 3 of them were on target. Babadi drifts into the box, pulls it across the edge of the 6-yard box for Slattery to turn home, and there we are, 2-1 at half time. I mean, we've dominated the game, possession-wise, chance-wise, XG-wise, but we're only winning 2-1, and we need to be careful to avoid what happened in the Hearts game. Right, we've made one change at half time. Gazer had picked up a yellow card. We don't want to run the risk of him getting sent off, so we brought Echeverria on in the defensive midfield role. Going to them. Oh my god. You couldn't write it. I was concerned about Gazer picking up a second yellow and getting sent off, and then Echeverria sides someone down from miles away to get a straight red. Kelly out Ferguson along the line to Baddy, who gets side down himself, and I think it's going to be 10 against 10 here. And it is. Vasquez to Bob into Bando. Pansar wide to Ferguson. Goes down the outside. Can he cross it? Goes back to Ryan. Comes out as far as Doherty. He loses out. Ferguson was there and he's fired it in at the bottom corner. And that's given us a 2-goal cushion, and hopefully that should be enough to see us through to the semi-final. Doc looked like he was wide enough to shot himself, backtracking forward. His tackles fell to Ferguson, and he gave the keeper no chance from the edge of the box. And there we have it. We tried to make hard work of it by going behind and then getting a player sent off, but eventually we just had too much. We've come out 3-1 victors in the quarter-final, and we've made it to the League Cup semi-final for the second time in successive seasons. So both Celtic and Rangers are out of the competition now. Really, depending on the draw we get, we could have a very good chance of winning the trophy here. And obviously we'll find out in the next episode whether we can make it to the final or not. And there we have it, the end of another episode. And season 3 has been an interesting start to season 3. Obviously we had a short campaign in Europe. I'm not quite sure how we go from losing 3-2 away to Roma, drawing 3-3 with them at home, to some of the performances we've put in the league this season. But plenty of room to grow. We've got a lot of new players came in at the end of September, so it'll take them a little while to gel. And obviously we've got a semi-final of the League Cup to look forward to. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.